Hello, YouTubers.
Another baseball legend passes. Senate confirmation hearings begin for Amy Coney Barrett. Early voting begins today. All that and more coming up in the day's Wade and Carter Show.
You just drew me right in. Like I want to be a part of this show now.
Good. About time. What are you doing?
These are the backups.
And let's see your weird ears. Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you this morning?
Good. I think some of your hair product through the years has deteriorated the faux leather.
Those are the ones you always wear.
They are not.
They are too. So that's your gunky ear stuff.
Could be. That's a whole other thought.
Let's do this morning.
Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by Deerland Feed. You can probably get Q-tips or some type of swab at Deerland Feed.
They won't swab you, but you can get the swab.
64 degrees in Victoria, heading to a high today of 91 under mostly sunny skies. It's going to be sunny and towards the evening start to get a little bit cloudy.
I don't know that I've recalled an evening that was so still in Victoria
as last night.
I mean, the air was heavy. Balls weren't carrying.
You were having trouble with your balls? What are you talking about?
Well, to pass the time and make the flinging of dog poop a little more.
Oh, you were throwing.
I was throwing dog poop, but I always try to make it, I have a fence that I throw it over.
Like your neighbors see you, like celebrating with the shovel in your hand.
Flipping the shovel. Like
nice.
And it just
around the little tree.
Yep. I got my own little yard.
There's nothing
game back there. That's how you make it. That's how you make mundane tasks.
You got 10 dogs worth of poop to throw. See, the average dog poops at least twice a day.
I bet well over 500.
I was going to say, I bet you do.
But they weren't carrying as far. I wasn't setting any record distances yesterday.
No
good. Breeze.
Not like you.
No.
You're kind of a.
That's how I kind of figured it was a heavy air yesterday.
You're known as a guy with a little pop, a little guy with some pop. Speaking of a little guy with some pop, baseball world lost one of its best. Sunday didn't make the news until yesterday after our show. Trust me, we would have been on it.
Yeah. Credit the family for keeping that one quiet.
Yeah, good for them to have a little private time. Joe Morgan passed away, folks, at the age of 77. Played for a number of teams. I can't name them all. I know he played with the Houston Astros. I know he played for the Cincinnati Reds during a 8-year streak where he made the All-Star team every year. And was kind of, along with Pete Rose and Johnny Bench, one of the main cogs in what they called the Big Red Machine, which was just absolutely that, a machine of greatness, rarely seen in professional sports. What is it? What do you?
Well, he started with the Astros, Cincinnati, Houston, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Oakland.
Yeah, played with Oakland to end it.
Yeah,
but you don't remember that. You don't remember that Joe Montana played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I do, because he was actually still pretty good.
That Emmitt Smith played for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals. No, we don't like to remember that. Franco Harris finished his career in Seattle.
See, I didn't remember that because he's just forever the Immaculate Reception. He's forever a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Marcus Allen finished his career in Kansas City too.
But he's always a Raider. He's a Raider.
I'll be honest, I didn't remember Joe Morgan playing beyond his second tour with the Astros.
But did he have a second tour with the Astros?
Yeah, because he came up with the Astros.
Right.
When they went the Mets route and traded away all their good young talent for I don't know why in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And then they brought him back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
But one of just a few guys to ever have 50 extra base hits in a season, 100 walks,
I'm sure Craig Biggio had 50 extra
and
base
50
hits in the
stolen
season.
bases.
Didn't he?
I'm sure, but Joe Morgan apparently that did it 4 times, right?
You pointed out that he's the only guy to have 50 extra base hits, 50 stolen bases, and 100 walks in the same season. He did that 4 times. Nobody else has ever done it. I'm not certain.
Pushing 20,000 other Major League Baseball players in the history of Major League Baseball, and nobody's ever done it. And
I don't know the significance of it.
I don't either, to be
What
honest.
do you folks think that means about it? Good morning, Sheriff Louderback.
It means he had a pretty good eye at the plate.
He had to have a good eye at the plate.
He was
a very
fast.
patient hitter, and he had some pop in his bat, and he ran well on the base paths. But we knew all that. He was a 5-tool player.
Is this just one of those, again, multiple baseball stats where they try to find something
I call those Aggie stats.
Cement his legacy? I mean, I don't know how much more cemented his legacy could be. He's in the Hall of Fame, one of very few second basemen in the Hall of Fame.
Him and Ryan Sandberg. And Biggio, that is one of the things that I always point out. I call those Aggie stats. It's like, well, yes, technically we lost the game 52-13, but did you know that on first downs in the third quarter where we ran, we outrushed them? That's the kind of stuff you used to get as they grasp for relevance. Now, by the way, I'm hoping we start getting those little factoids out of the UT athletic department since the Longhorns are so terrible.
I was going to say those might soon become Longhorn stats.
There's my sweet Kendall. Good morning, Kendall Diane Carter. She's off to Sewellville.
Matt Boucher, first one in this morning. Good morning to you, Matt. Michael Jolly checking in.
She'd be selling cataracts.
Chris Conrad, good morning. Justin Glass, Marvin Mickish, Johnny Houghton.
It's a great time to tell you about the new Cadillac XT6 with optional third row in a sport design. It's got a blah, 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 and it's got room for 27 people and groceries. Prime Day machine guns.
Prime Day Canada today? I did not know that. Is it Prime Day?
Prime Day. Come on, Johnny Houghton.
It's not Amazon Prime Day today, is it?
Canadians just need another day to drink.
Day after Thanksgiving, maybe.
The day after Thanksgiving.
That would make sense. Prime Day.
It's a hangover day in Canada.
Rob Moore Knipling, Natalie Mayer, Bobby Leister, Christina Wise,
Patrick 224 YouTubers.
That's up one, isn't it? No, I think we're down a couple.
We ain't messing around.
Andy Ria Jr., Torrin Bales.
Says Trump is back.
Yeah, he was in Florida yesterday. I don't know what I would call it a rally, more of a campaign stop. We'll get to that a little bit later because I think
there was a rally in Arizona the other day for Joe Biden, and literally nobody was there. Literally nobody was there. The police were there. The barricades were out. Don't tell me you've got a 12-point lead in the national polls when nobody shows up at your rally. Biden's done, folks. Y'all just ain't figured it out yet.
BJ Nelson, Lisa Poole, Judge Posey, Dave Garza, Heather Monroe. Good morning. Michelle Hawkins.
Hello, Judge Posey.
Scott Tomko, Ron Sitka. Randy Langston, Scott Snow, Sheriff Louderback, Mike Bloschke, Rena Scherer. Good morning. BJ Nelson.
What a crew.
James Kurth.
I don't know why seeing that list of my friends reminded me to remind you that Wednesday morning, Judge Zeller signing off, and the bars are going to open in Victoria. How about that? I found that interesting because right now in North Dakota, they're talking about tightening things up a little bit. They're talking about having an increase in COVID cases, and they're worried as we go into the cooler months that we're going to have a spike.
Here we go.
That's the deal. They're worried there's going to be a spike like the flu.
Although we don't have the cooler months here.
No. Yeah, well, it's 91 today. And it's the winter of 2020. We will rebuild. Crazy. Why is Natalie Meyer saying free cab rides, duly to ride to vote?
Affordable taxis giving free cab rides to people who want to vote today.
You want to stir them up? Republican taxi company saying they'll pick anybody up that wants to vote. Republican taxi company. The RTC.
Got to have your vote card and a voter sticker proof for the free ride home. So they'll get you there. They may not get you home. Lila Escalona checking in. Sarah Dodson. Larry Leahy. Rob Moore Knipling.
He says it's Amazon Prime Day in Canada.
Yeah, that's what I said. Rob Moore Knipling said it is Prime Day. She's already done her shopping for the day. Look at that.
Go down 2 more. What does it say about? Well, you went too far. Oh, there. I voted every election since what?
For 40 years in person. This one will be no different.
Scott Tonka throwing out how old we're getting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scotty. I feel good about that. 4 decades. I've been voting.
I've been able to vote for 4 decades in this country. Although I probably should have tried it when I was just a student here and not eligible to vote, just to see if I could have.
Bars are open on the Riverwalk in San Antonio on Friday. You think those people are ready to be back?
You think?
You think anybody's going to get sick? I think a handful will.
Yeah, because they'll drink too much.
I mean, they may catch the COVID. So they're going to get it sooner or later.
South Dakota and North Dakota is an interesting. I mean, they're one on top of each other. They're basically the same state with an arbitrary line between them. One shut down, one didn't. And one is having more issues than the other, and guess which one it is?
The one that shut down.
That's exactly it.
By the way, TLAT, this is a little public service announcement, a la Wade and Carter. TLAT took Rylan, the little one, R, out to the bus stop at Inez this morning. And on the way out, on the way out of town, north on 59, said there was a gentleman like walking on the yellow line on 59 trying to hitchhike.
Wasn't it dark?
It was dark and he was dark. And then she said on the way back, she saw the same guy. She actually felt relieved that he hadn't been hit by a car. She said, I got to tell you, she was passing Allen's Wrecker Service, which is on the left if you're going north, and said, I looked back. She goes, fortunately, I was in my lane. I was where I belong. There was nobody in front of me. And all of a sudden, wham, right there was a guy standing on the shoulder of the road. And not a good place to be, folks.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Be careful out there.
Jimmy Driscoll heading to Houston. Good morning to you.
Watch out for the guy on the yellow line on 59. Jimmy D, be well, baby.
So wrap up Joe Morgan a little bit. That's like 5 MLB Hall of Famers that have passed in the last little bit.
Remember the
He had that little twitch.
Did he only bat left-handed or was he a switcher?
I
think he batted left-handed. He did. He wouldn't have had the twitch on both sides.
No, that would have been.
You know the guy that I love to watch swing the bat? You're going to go, duh. But the guy that I love to watch swing the bat is Michael Brantley. I like the way he gets set and he just kind of drops that bat down. And it's to remind him of something. You see golfers that kind of do something with their elbow. He just drops that bat down on his shoulder. And it's got something to do with the plane that he utilizes.
Okay.
And then when he loads, man, it is just the most beautiful swing. He has a Michael Brantley, folks. I'm going to hate to see him go because I think he's going to go after this season. He has a beautiful swing.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I think the Astros have to re-sign one of Springer and Brantley.
You got to sign Springer.
They can't afford to lose both.
Springer's only 30, and Springer's been a bigger star here.
BJ Nelson says, did I see we had a new Caleb Shaw award? We talked a little bit about that yesterday. Unless something news popped up, but we had Burger Nation locally, and then we had Baton Rouge with the school bus. But that one, again, now he stole the bus. He's committing a crime. I don't know that one.
We don't mention his name. Of course, he was also 11.
Yeah, we can't. They didn't release
How about, you just got to say, how about the chutzpah on that kid? 11-year-old kid jimmies his way into a bus and takes off on a joyride around Baton Rouge. I mean, I'm digging that. That kid will probably
what, though? In the
70s
and 80s, you could see kids doing that.
But not now.
Nowadays, where parents have to know where their kids are all the time, that's the question. Where's this kid's parents? Certainly they're not helicopter parents.
Well, LSU got beat this weekend. They might be drunk.
True. Jimmy Driscoll says you just passed that man walking to the grass northbound.
At least he's in the grass.
Yeah,
now.
no kidding now.
T-Lat might have nudged him over into the grass. Who is that gentleman?
Gutierrez?
Say it with me. Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
It's a Etta. Gutierrez. Roll your R.
Gutierrez.
Come on, man.
James Kerr says too much Grand Theft Auto for that kid.
Right.
Joe Gomez, good morning to you.
Good morning, Joe.
So Tony Dungy, should we take a break and then jump into Tony Dungy's controversy, non-controversy?
Yeah, we can. We just talked about Allen's Wrecker Service, folks. If you have a towing need of any type, you just need to get a vehicle from here to Houston, from here to Refugio. That's easy. They have a depot in Refugio as well.
Anywhere around the town.
Just anywhere. Whatever you can think of where a truck and trailer need to be involved to get a vehicle somewhere. Allen's Wrecker Service. 578-6300. Allen's is the region's go-to tow-to. There's no doubt about it. You'll see them all over town. You'll see them at just about every accident. They come out, they secure the scene. They are, among towing companies, Allen's is the first responder. Reach out to them. The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication Empire. They're all different, but they all do the same thing. They all make your life easier. Whether you need a new iPhone 11, whether you need accessories for your iPad or iPhone, Samsung units, a new program, you want to give a kid a phone for Christmas, they can help you with all of that. They can help you with right-of-way maintenance, right-of-way development, pipeline maintenance. They do pad site development. Then they'll come back and they'll put in a gate and they'll home link it. They'll make it so it works off solar panels. They do everything from surveillance to security. The VCS companies, if it's electronic and it communicates, you need to reach out to the Hartman family. Chestnut Furniture Company. For 100 years. 100 years. In downtown Victoria. Now they're at 116 West Juan Lynn, only been there for 70.
Yeah, they moved around the corner from where they were.
Yeah, well, when the first actual brick building was built in Victoria, they moved into it. 100 years celebrating. Please go see Bobby Leon. Please tell Mr. Leon that Wade and Carter sent you.
And you'll get 50% off all your furniture.
50% off. Now, you could go in there and say that Mattress Mac sent you, and they'd give you 50% off, but it'd be better if you mentioned Wade and Carter. Get by Chestnut today. 116 West Juan Lynn, corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge in beautiful, sunny downtown Victoria. And today's a great day. It's pre-Caldo Tuesday. Get in there today to Veracruz.
No, it's pre-Caldo Wednesday.
Tomorrow is Caldo Wednesday.
Today's just no Caldo Tuesday.
Yeah, just don't order the Caldo. That's all you can't do. But
you can. They'll laugh at you, tell you to get out, rookie.
Drowning enchiladas. Get in there. Look, Natalia likes that. Gutierrez. I'm trying to work with him now.
You do good.
He goes, Gutierrez.
Not that bad.
You sound like a Texan trying to talk Spanish. It's very interesting to me.
Well, I thought that's what you sounded like.
Right? Oh, wow.
But get into Veracruz today for all your pre-Caldo Wednesday favorites.
You will love it. By the way, Dr. Missy Madden Klimacek said it's a good thing that guy wasn't wearing a vintage green cone or he would have had a problem. T-Lat, I had to front her out because I'm all about transparency.
I credit Missy for paying attention and remembering facts that we present on this show.
I called Dr. Klimacek and reported that Dawn had eliminated. She said, yeah, I was a little embarrassed for Rylan. She made it sound like it was someone else's fault. There were two people in one.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't Rylan's fault. It was Dawn's fault.
Right. And she said, I had to swerve over. And I think it was a 0 mile per hour zone, 0. I had to swerve over to avoid this.
The car stopped next to me?
Close to me, yeah. And she said, I ran over one of those. And this is an industrial. These are like the kind of cones that somebody did a referendum on, and they bought them back in the 50s. And they're made out of plastic when plastic was really thick, and they're green with a reflector circle around the bottom. And she said, my car got up on top of it, and I drug it all the way through the circle. Rylan, humiliated, embarrassed, probably stunted his growth and will keep him from participating in athletics, was just upset.
Don's lucky with the industrial strength of that cone. She didn't high center her vehicle.
Well, it kind of, and then when it flexed, she goes, it shot out the back of my vehicle. Fortunately, when I ratted her out to Dr. Klimacek, Missy showed some restraint.
Except for this morning.
Yeah, except she brought it back up, which I think is great.
Morning, Jim Hartman. Jeff Fonseca says Allen's was out in Yorktown yesterday.
Don says Veracruz is closed all next week. Listen to her. I had to go to the right, not do the car next to me. See, she's still just own it, baby.
Everybody was stopped.
So one time on the previous car, I get this phone call and she goes, Brent, I may need you. And I go, well, what's wrong, honey? What's wrong? I hear this. It's just grinding. And she goes, I was in here. And she goes, oh, thank goodness for four-wheel drive. She just drug the entire undercarriage off of her last little SUV at Dr. Fortiani's office. There's a little curb thing that comes out there that I agree has no reason to be there. The same curb exists at Eskimo Hut if you're not careful. When you go through the drive-thru at Eskimo Hut, especially if it's like your third or fourth time through that day, if you come
that hour,
yeah, and you decide to take a hard left, well, that the sidewalk there goes out about 10 feet, and you'll boom, and then you will high center there. So, please,
you know why they do that?
drive safely.
Yeah.
Jeff Fonseca says scarred for life. You know, Fonzie's become an active participant. You see the top fan moniker.
I see that.
Not bestowed by us, bestowed by Facebook. Yeah.
Morning to my beautiful wife, Cheryl, checking in.
Our buddy and y'all's friend, Tom Ennis, the world's greatest neighbor inside the city limits, said that the Democrats have been active over in Windcrest, stealing signs, Trump signs. People seem to forget that that's a crime.
Yeah, and I really doubt that VPD would prosecute anybody.
No,
you might get a fine.
But you might get a chance to slap the snot out of them for taking something out of your yard. Oh, I'm sorry. Did my hand accidentally strike you around your orb? I could see that happening.
I question whether or not it's actually Democrats or just anti-Trumpers, because that's the one thing with the hate for Trump.
Yeah, it's just anti-Trumpers.
It's just anti-Trumpers. I mean, likely Democrats.
Yeah, certainly not Republicans. BJ Nelson says Eskimo Hut would fit in perfectly as a sponsor for Wade and Carter.
Roy Gutierrez says, yep.
Yep.
I don't know if he's agreeing with BJ or if he's agreeing with.
We tried forever to get Hartman Distributing Company to step up, and then now they've sold. Did you hear that?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. The Hartman family, of course, they've been doing this a long time. David and Barry and their family been doing this for a long time.
Well, and they had bought Elder Distributing, right?
Yeah, which
was Coors, and
so they had Miller Lite and Coors, and I guess Dos Equis, and sold. I was told to Glazers, who's a big distributor, kind of like Benny Keith, kind of
Where are they out of?
I think they're based out of Fort Worth.
Okay.
But Glazers, they're big. Glazers, apostrophe S. And the number had commas in it, which I heard. That's fantastic. Good for them. Good for their family. And I can only hope that Glazers will continue to contribute to our community as faithfully, consistently, and lovingly as the Hartman family has done for years.
Roy Gutierrez has 4 or 5 signs stolen right across the street from his place.
In other news, Roy Gutierrez had a bonfire in his backyard. Roy would never. Roy's awesome.
So Tony Dungy, former Indianapolis Colts coach, coached into a Super Bowl.
Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback, back with Franco Harris.
Gets blasted for basically saying what a lot of people were thinking, giving his coach's perspective, proof that the cancel culture still exists. Yeah. And you're no longer entitled to your own opinion.
Tony Dungy made the comment, something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's pretty close.
It'll be pretty close.
He said, hey, he goes, this could be, at the end of the day, actually a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of the certainly season-ending injury for one Dak Prescott. He made the comment.
Could be a blessing in disguise.
Could be a blessing in disguise. And by the way, shame on Tony Dungy for taking the optimistic high road. People immediately start saying, really, Tony? I mean, they were kind of saying, you may be right, but even if you are, it's a terribly rude thing for you to say. I can see that maybe it was a little too soon, but I actually sent Coach Dungy a note yesterday on Twitter and said, hey, look, this is one of those times where if you were a white guy, they would say you were racist. But because you're a man of color and you're making the statement that I absolutely agree with, hats off to you and thanks for standing your ground. Tony Dungy, for those of you that don't know, is a highly recognized man of faith. He's a very strong Christian gentleman. He's a motivational speaker. It's his nature to seek the good in situations. There's nothing wrong with him saying this could be a blessing in disguise. I was at the gym yesterday, and there were two men there, two black men, and we just kind of got into a conversation, and I asked him, I said, did you see where the Red Rifle threw those two perfect passes to Michael Gallup down the stretch? And both gentlemen, unsolicited, said, oh, you can bet Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup woke up today feeling great about the chances they're going to have because Dalton is a better passer. I didn't tell them, hey, that's too soon, man. You can't say that. You can't say that about Dak. The reality is, what Dungy was talking about, if I'm hearing right, was that this may force the Cowboys, on paper at least, to focus on getting the ball back to Zeke. Could help the running game. If it helps the running game, and then Dalton's got that cannon.
Well, and the offensive line is going to have to step it up because right now they're playing down two tackles. They've got some injuries. They haven't been great at pass protection. So if it focuses the team to play better,
yeah.
I mean,
you talked about the Ewing effect.
Yeah, Bill Simmons, sports writer, was really, really good. He was on ESPN. He got a big head. He went to Hollywood to write for Jimmy Kimmel and a few other shows. I think The Man Show or something like that, or Adam. But anyway, prior to him getting that, he was a great writer. Have his own website, The Sports Guy. You can go back and read some of his old stuff. It's just phenomenal. He wove pop culture into it.
Very witty,
very good. And he called it the Ewing theory because when Patrick Ewing got hurt, the Knicks were better.
The Knicks were better with him on the sideline. Everybody's stats went up. Everybody stepped up.
They went to the NBA championship without Ewing.
Yeah.
I just wonder if this is not the Cowboys Ewing theory moment.
Yeah.
So, and I think Tony Dungy, as an ex-coach, probably has some perspective on this that a lot of others may not. But he's possible. But I think he's right.
Andy Dalton's like 32 years old, I think. What do you do? Now, given Dak Prescott's only 27 years old, what do you do, Cowboy Nation, if Andy Dalton runs off about 6 straight wins here, throwing the ball 350 yards a game, no interceptions? Zeke Elliott's getting 125 yards a game carrying.
It is Andy Dalton, so he's going to have a couple of interceptions.
So what do you do though? Do you just see? I agree with Jeff Fonseca that says, hey, there's 3 things the Cowboys can do. They can let Dak walk as a free agent,
or limp.
Yeah, hobble out as a free agent, or they can sign him to a long-term deal. Or they can franchise him again next year for like $37 million. By the way, don't feel sorry for a guy who's stuck at $37.3 million. The only thing he's not getting at that is the signing bonus up front that's guaranteed money. That's the only difference. I mean, if he got a 4-year deal for $168 million, he would be a fool not to take it. By the way, once you've seen your foot
staring back at you,
you're probably going to take that money next time.
Well, here's something. I mean, think about this. Put this in perspective. People are, Dak, what's he going to do for the rest of his life? 10 years ago, a $30 million contract was a 10-year contract.
Right. There's a reason Tom Brady's still playing.
Right? I mean, the perspective, and I felt bad for Dak. I didn't feel bad for him when he's got $30 million sitting in his bank account, right, or will have, and he had a serious ankle injury when the construction worker that just fell off the ladder on a construction site with no $30 million bankroll,
right,
and had the same injury, is trying to figure out where his next paycheck to feed his family is going to come from. That's a perspective on this thing that is completely lost by almost everybody in the Cowboys nation and the sports world in general that are crying about Dak's future.
Well, I think that the Cowboys are a lightning rod for attention, period. And Dak Prescott, for some reason, I always felt like there was an undercurrent of perceived racism against Dak, if you will. You would see these people all the time. Pay the man his money. He done earned his money. And I'm like, he's just not it. When I start saying, yes, I'd rather have Dak Prescott than Drew Brees because Drew Brees is 42 years old. And yes, I'd rather have Dak Prescott than Tom Brady right now because Tom Brady can't remember what down it is. But
there's some longevity with Dak, but
he ain't no Patrick Mahomes. He's no Russell Wilson. I'm not even sure he's
no Jones in New York.
No, I'd rather have the Jones kid in New York right now than Dak Prescott. But I'll tell you this, the fact that he's not noticeably better than Deshaun Watson, who's had his knee rebuilt twice, makes you kind of go, why am I paying him that kind of money? What else is he going to go do for $37 million a year?
Johnny Hunt says after taxes and agent fees, he may only have about $10 million in his bank account.
Bless his heart.
Should feel a little sorry for him. I get the sarcasm in that, Johnny.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, but
J. Dub said that Andy Dalton's. That was J. Dub said that Andy Dalton's never had this level of receivers to throw to.
You know, he had some pretty good ones in Cincinnati, headlined by Ocho Cinco and a few others. Yeah, but yeah, I at one time probably not.
Wow,
but he had some pretty good receivers. He never. Trying to think, he never really had a running game in Cincinnati. I don't think.
Do you know when did they have a running game? They had that one guy. What was his name? The guy that did the dance. Yeah,
Dickie Shuffle. Dickie Woods. You're going back to Boomer Esiason to find that.
Boy, he looks old too. Him and Phil Simms, they put the two old pasty white guys here, and then you've got the curve, with like Reggie Bush or something. I don't even know who it is. And then and Coach Cowher.
You want to know who's looking old?
Terry Bradshaw.
No, actually, Bradshaw probably hasn't looked. Bradshaw looks the same as he did when he played, just fatter.
Right. Who's looking old?
Chris Berman. But he is old.
He is old. He's got to be in his 70s.
Yeah, but he stopped coloring his hair. I think he stopped cutting his hair. So he's kind of gray and fat.
Frank Mejia says, I'd rather have Mejia behind center. You'd like to be there too, wouldn't you? The old Brokeback Mountain. Let me tell you who could take all that data.
AJ Green, thank you. That was the other receiver.
They could throw. AJ Green played for the Celtics. You can take. Let me tell you who could take all that data, throw it into an encryption algorithm, do some studying, shake it up and all that, and tell you what's going to happen for the Cowboys. JP Hall, Razor IT Solutions. If Jerry Jones had any sense, he'd reach out to JP this week and say, tell me what's going to happen for the Cowboys. What's going to happen, Jerry?
I got a free agent signing for JP Hall if he wants one.
JP Hall. Does he need another computer guru?
Billy Beane is leaving the Oakland A's.
Really?
The guru of Moneyball.
All of a sudden, JP could open up a sports division
of Razor
IT Solutions. Folks, they're phenomenal at what they do. Whether you've got a website or a Facebook presence or trying to collect money on a pay button on
our YouTube page is proof of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no doubt. That's all driven by Razor IT Solutions. There's not that many people watching us on YouTube.
There might be.
Could be. Bunch of robots. Christina Wise says that CeeDee Lamb is awesome, and I agree 100%. I think he's he's pretty much got to be Rookie of the Year considered, don't you think?
I have a thing right now. Clayton Meyer says Cowboys should have signed Uncle Rico. He can throw a football over the mountains.
Yeah, half a mile. Razor IT Solutions, folks. Reach out to them. I drove by the Atzenhofer dealership this morning. There's either a new Escalade or a new Tahoe on the showroom floor. It's black and it's got your name all over it, folks. You need to go in there and check it out. The new Suburban is a beauty. You need to go check that out too. They've got a few on the lot. I saw one was kind of a battleship gray. It's that time.
I like that color.
The 2021s are here, and you need to go look.
Except for the Corvette.
Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi, paint and body shop.
Pre-owned vehicles.
All makes and models of service. Get in there.
If they don't have it, they'll find it for you.
Check it out. By the way, I go back to C.D. Lamb. He has come in as a very, very mature contributor with no fear, people. This is not a big man, and he will run that little slot route across the middle. He always catches the ball, and he takes the hit.
He'll have a 5-year career.
3. White Trash Services invites you to have a trash-tastic day. 550-1826. BJ Nelson, Scott Nelson, their family, they're all ready to help you in the 6-county region and Holiday Beach, Rockport, Lake McQueen, Reno, Nevada, Lake Tahoe, and all the ski resorts. You reach out to White Trash Services at 550-1826. Patrick Strauss, the name we don't speak, is Garrett Gilbert. Thank you for that.
Signed by the Cowboys yesterday.
Did they really? Oh,
plucked them off.
Goodness.
Plucked them off Cleveland's practice roster.
Roy says that's an Escalade over there at Atzenhofer, but he's still a Ford guy. But you look, didn't you? You looked, didn't you, Roy? I'll tell you this, Garrett Gilbert is when I completely abandoned all the hype ever about UT football. It was my when they recruited him or when he left to SMU? No, when he played.
Okay.
So they recruit this kid who was like, we've got a kid now. There's a kid.
I hadn't quite gotten there yet.
Texas has got this kid coming in the class of 21 that is literally, folks, supposed to be the #1 quarterback prospect in the country. This is a can't-miss kid. Matt Leinart, Vince Young, Drew Brees, roll them all into one. This is the guy. Dan Marino on steroids. This is the guy. Well, that's who Garrett Gilbert was, the National Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year, and he got to the Texas Longhorns. He
turned into Tony Eason.
He turned into a guy
Todd Blackledge.
That he slowed the game down so much that he didn't realize it was happening pretty quick. The next thing you know, that guy ends up over at SMU. Now, he does have a Super Bowl ring, I think, and I think he did. I think he's, by all accounts, he's a fine guy. He just did not take his game to the next level
until he got to SMU.
Yeah, but look at Steve Buechele. The Buechele kid looks the same way. It's a different level of competition.
Got him to the NFL.
That's true. It did. We'll see what he does. He had all the.
Well, he's a Texas boy, right?
And I think coaches always think they've got a chance. Like, I can fix that kid. I can fix that kid.
I think he's
like the one with the springs on his eyeballs. They got like in the Tin Cup. What? I'm just trying to get better. He got one arm taped to his side and springy things on his eyeballs.
I'm surprised the NFL as a whole. I mean, they threw a bunch of money into NFL Europe, and they were behind the old World League of American Football and all this other garbage.
The Woofle.
Why have they not put money into an IMG-like academy in Florida or somewhere where they are developing the next group of quarterbacks for the NFL?
IMG doesn't need them.
No, IMG doesn't need them, but something like that, because the problem with the NFL is, and if you want the product in the league to get past where they are now and the problems to try to rebuild it, you at best have 10 starting quarterbacks in the NFL that are legitimate starting quarterbacks.
100% agree. The rest
are
expendable.
Are retreads. They're recycled.
You can do it.
They're not good enough.
Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Phillip Rivers, Aaron.
I wouldn't know any of the Rivers there anymore.
Rivers Hall of Famer, though. So you got Aaron,
the Carr kid when he's healthy, Jones,
Derek Carr,
Prescott,
Prescott,
Drew Brees,
maybe Watson. I don't know.
Tom Brady.
There's a handful, that are just there that haven't really panned out.
Jackson.
What's the kid's name from San Francisco, from UCLA that Jeff gives with a G?
Yeah, Darnold hasn't panned out in New Jersey.
That guy,
Jets yet.
Jared Goff.
Goff from Cal.
Yeah, has he done anything really?
Not really.
I don't know.
Puts up big numbers in games that don't matter.
Steve Tyler points out the Longhorns are never short of talent, and that makes it even more frustrating when you're just a consistent underachiever. I mean, look at me and Ash. Clearly overachievers. He's got some talent. He's got some game. I've got tits like Phil Mickelson. I'm looking at this thing on TV here. I mean, I look like.
Well, you're wearing black. You look like Phil.
Kind of like Phil Mickelson.
Stop wearing black.
Yeah.
If only you had the game of Phil Mickelson.
Right. Well, sadly,
Josh Rosen. Thanks.
Sadly, I'm getting close to having Phil's game. I'll just start playing left-handed like Phil. I look better for standing up straight.
Stand up straight then.
Is this shirt
pull that microphone out.
This shirt made me look like a C cup.
No, you make you look like a C cup.
Baby, I'm fixing to go. I'm going to come back from Cabo San Lucas, tanned, rested, and ready. I may be a write-in candidate for something when I get back.
You're not eating for a week, are you?
No, I'm just going to lay around and drink frosted fruit drinks.
Come back dehydrated.
Yeah. All shriveled up.
Final break?
No.
Then we'll get into some serious stuff.
Are we going to?
Yeah.
Well, folks, today's a great day to go to Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. We talk about it all the time, but think about brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey. You want to have a party? You want to feed 500? I tell people all the time, if Jesus came back today and was going to feed 5,000, he'd just call Uncle Mutt's.
Yeah,
let the kid keep the fish. Come on. Uncle Mutt's Barbecue. All the side dishes, catering, delivery, drive-through.
Set up, tear down. Got it all.
I like talking in phrases instead of sentences. Pizza? No. Barbecue? Yes. Uncle Mutt's today. Go. USA Concrete Coatings. Charlie Garcia will take your call at 578-HOME, HOME. 578-HOME. Charlie will reach out. He'll come out, survey the situation. He might even show up on his horse with his guitar.
Might sing a song.
Right? But he'll fill the cracks in your garage, sand everything down, treat everything, get all the oil off of it, and then put whatever color you want. Think about that. Pattern, flecks, all that. It'll be a no slip surface, antimicrobial, antibacterial.
Won't crack, won't
stronger than epoxy. Won't stick to the tires on your car. That used to be the problem. People parked their car, the tires were hot, the stuff would stick, you back up, and a chunk of your floor would come up. Not so. USA Concrete.
Check them out on Facebook and see the portfolio of the work they've done. The transformations are absolutely phenomenal to look at.
There's one from a pool they did last week, and it's just beautiful. So the light hits it just right. It's not a matte finish, but it's not glossy either. It's just cool looking. Went Services.
For all your electrical needs.
Yeah, but especially
simple installation of a light switch to wiring a whole home. They can do it all. They can get you a backup generator so you're never without power next storm season.
Well, and you can benefit from the sun these days, even in the winter, folks. The sun's still out. Solar panels with battery backups provided by Generac, an American company, American made, American proud, American beer.
Out of Wisconsin.
Get it. Get a hold of Went Services today.
And don't forget Gray Bar Design for all your event design needs.
920-6803.
Cheryl keeps me far away so nothing gets ruined.
Right. Should say, I want the anti-ash special where nobody but Cheryl handles the flowers.
She'll serve it up.
There you go.
Good
morning, ma'am. She had gone through a little time here. I'm not a doctor, so this isn't HIPAA, but she wasn't feeling very well. And Dana Moore is back.
You're not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You almost set up a Holiday Inn Express commercial there.
I'm willing to take a look. BJ said she went by Caleb Shaw's last week, and he has some good stories. That's a totally irrelevant point. I guess maybe
tune in next week.
By the way, did you see? I didn't send this to you, but I'm just going to throw it out here too. Just like throw it out. Got a text yesterday from school board member. You going to make it?
Yeah.
School board member.
Coffee down the wrong hole.
You need the Heinlein?
No, I'm good.
Brett Baldwin. let me know that in the event you were going to be gone, he was willing to sub in as a guest host. And I said, well, maybe Ash would like to have you sub in while I'm gone because I'm out of here. 1 week, 5 shows. You'll make it.
I know I will.
Oh, I know you will. You do better without me here than I do without you here.
I wouldn't say that.
No, it's a true story.
That is true.
It is true. I mean, and it doesn't, I don't have any ego about it. That's what's funny is I've got zero ego about this. This is just what we do. Been very, very blessed, very fortunate. 90% plus of the sponsors we started with, we still have. And they get it.
I'm just impressed people still tune in every day.
It's an incredible blessing that you guys do. But there's a lot of people that tune in every day.
It's a lot of fun.
You know how you find out? Take a day off. What? No show today? I get all these private messages.
Me too. Phone blows up.
Oh,
everything okay?
You all right?
Did you get fired again?
Yeah, right.
I get that every time. We take a day off. Even if we announce it. Yeah. You guys didn't get fired again, did you?
I do have to tell you something. If you're listening on Magic 95.9, I don't know if they've gone like public with this, but we don't care. We break stories all the time.
It's credible and it's news.
I think that Magic is about to have a bigger signal.
Yeah.
It's been rumored that Magic is going to move the studio. And when they do, they're going to double. First of all, they're going to double the height of the antenna.
Moving on up.
From one antenna, they're going to two.
To the top.
So really, I mean, there's a chance that you could hear us all the way to the airport.
Maybe beyond. Maybe the end of the airport.
The runway.
Which airport?
Right.
Ball Airport.
Ball Airport.
Might be able to reach up there. Allo Field.
Correctamundo.
Early voting begins today in person.
Yeah, folks, don't have any fear.
Lots. I think there's 7 early voting sites rather than just the Patty Dodson, and I believe you can vote in your car. Curbside voting available at all of them. I know BJ Nelson, if she wants to give a call, she probably has a few more details on this.
Can you imagine you can get a COVID test,
575-9509,
vote, and pick up a taco, all in the same drive-through?
Yeah. I think people asking that we should be able to vote by cell phone, and I'm not quite sure we're there yet.
No, and we shouldn't be there. There's nothing wrong. This symbolism, do you just want to have an app for Mecca?
But I mean,
you go to Mecca. You make the trip to Mecca. That's part of the deal. The actual physical activity of getting off your duff, walking into a place provided for the public, seeing your neighbors, and voting in person is American. It's part of what you do. It's part of who we are. It's a symbol to the world that Americans will take the time to go and vote, that the freedoms provided in the Republic through our democratic form of government, that it works. People should see lines waiting at the poll. They should know that Americans care enough to go vote.
Remember the phrase first world problems about a year or so ago was popular. I don't know if there's more of a first world problem from a global perspective than the fear of the COVID from voting in person that Americans have right now. There are people that will risk their lives when an election actually happens in their country where elections have never been allowed before.
Right.
And will stand in line. They will make the trek for days.
True.
To go stand in line for more days.
Right.
Just to cast an actual paper ballot.
With pride.
And risk their lives that the opposition to those who they are voting for won't kill them before they get there or won't hurt their family after they've cast their ballot so that they get home after days more travel to nothing.
And since Hillary Clinton's not on the ballot this year, that's not even an issue in this country. There's no chance they're going to kill you for voting for anybody. But the thing that gets me is you've got to go and make the statement. People need, if you tell me on October the 13th, that you can't find 5 minutes, literally, to go to the Patty Dodson Center between now and November 3rd, I'm not sure I want you to vote.
I believe we've even passed laws, at least in this state, maybe even the country, that you can now use sick time to go cast your ballot up to 2 hours.
Yeah. By the way, James Kurth makes a great point. Voter apathy has always been our first world problem. I'll tell you something, and I've said this numerous times on this show. You can take all the LGBTQ people, all the trannies, and then all the extreme leftists and all the socialists and all the communists. You can lump them all together and say, Biden's our guy. The Biden Madonna ticket, that's our guy. If the people in this country who simply claim to be Christians, they've been to church once in their life, they went on an Easter Sunday dragged by a grandmother, and they claim that they're Christians. If they would find common ground and vote, they'd run the country. They'd run the country. You talk about, you want to get rid of Roe v. Wade, just let all the Christians vote. But instead, we've got people who profess to be Christians going, well, I'm all about God being love and all that, but I'm also pro-choice. I mean, a woman ought to be able to do whatever she wants with her body, and the government ought to pay for it. That's why this country is screwed up. People want to be what they're not. People claim to be what they don't act like. And the next thing you know, people that are Christian, these good Christian folks, these good Catholic folks like Joe Biden, are out there, donating money to Planned Parenthood. It's just ridiculous hypocrisy perpetuated on us by the left.
Vanessa Hicks Calloway says her son, a receiver of Victoria West, was pulled to play defense and played man on CeeDee Lamb in high school, shut him down. No catches, then he decided to go run track in college.
In other news, CeeDee Lamb had a major hemorrhage of a quadricep. No, not really. I know he is a great athlete. Vanessa's son's a great athlete. Yeah. Interesting. Christina Wise points out, you noticed how the coverage of the BLM protest kind of stopped? Yeah, because the word got out that, oh, by the way, these people aren't really worried about George Floyd or black rights. They're really just
anarchists who want. Yeah. No, that's all they are.
Yep.
Well, and the other reason is because it stopped. Make no mistake, this was a calculated ploy to bring some civil unrest to this country by the left.
No doubt.
And when they found out that it actually was hurting Joe Biden and his chances for re-election instead of Donald Trump, who they thought it was going to hurt, because Donald Trump actually then took steps as president to send in National Guard and do the things to restore law and order,
correct,
which 80% of the people in this country, regardless of political stripes, still want. They've backed off, and now it's just idiot places like Portland and a few others where it's been going on for months or years and nobody really cares because those cities are so screwed up anyway.
Correct.
But they stopped.
Like Pullman, Washington.
Yes. They stopped running with it because the media, the PR arm of the Democrat campaign, realized that their efforts were actually hurting their chosen candidate.
This brings around something you and I talked about the other day that we never did put on the air, I don't think.
Jeff Fonseca says he went to church just so he could go to Luby's afterwards.
Right? And then you quit going to church and look, Luby's went broke. So
it's all your fault, Jeff.
Let me throw this to you. Biden's been denying that your taxes are going to go up day one, even though he blatantly states that he's going to repeal every Trump tax cut.
He's playing semantics.
Right.
I'm not raising your taxes.
I'm just
getting rid of
Just getting rid of Trump's advantage.
Which he is raising taxes, but
so here's what we've proposed that America do. Every time that you want to say that something is free from the government, you've heard Kamala Harris say, your health care ought to be free. Your college, if your family makes less than $125,000, your college ought to be free. What they need to say is...
that might be the worst Kamala Harris impression.
Well, I'm not on my knees. I don't do it well unless I'm down on my knees. Okay. Kamala says what she needs to say is, if your family makes less than $125,000, your kid's college will be absorbed by the American taxpayer. Just say it for what it is, whether you're raising taxes or not.
But they won't say that.
But that's what it is, right? Because the government doesn't generate any money. The government doesn't go, we're going to share our profits with you. The government takes your money. If you need health care, that's going to be absorbed by the American taxpayer. And at that point, even our friends like Pete McNally would start saying, I need to kind of evaluate how much as an American taxpayer I want to absorb. Because, folks, the left has never understood that it's not an endless pot of honey. We are not financially sound in this country. You can't keep going to the well. Can't.
Well, we stopped going to the well. We just print it.
Yeah. Like Steve Kidder says, just be like Mondale. I will raise your taxes. That's like a VISD deal. Oh, we're going to take this money, but we're going to give it back to you in quality. How about you?
Because what do we raise out of taxes in this country? Like $3.5 trillion. That's it.
Right. We're giving that away, 2.6, with all the pork that Pelosi put in there. Disingenuous idiot. But she's against Trump. So all of our leftist friends, lockstep, they vote for her.
So Joe Biden over the weekend, and again, these things never seem to make it.
BJ Nelson had a great point. I don't want to interrupt Kamala, but she just said, hey, I'd ask my employer to cap me so that my kids could go to college for free. Yeah, put me down for $124,999. My kids go to college for free. That's like another $100,000. Yeah.
How does the federal government have any say in local and state cost of college?
They're not supposed to.
See the overreach here, folks?
That's that whole states' rights deal.
See the whole Constitution? The party that all of a sudden for the last 9 months has stated that they're the party of the Constitution doesn't understand the Constitution.
So let me ask you one. We haven't talked about this either. This morning I was driving in, heard the governor of Arkansas speaking about what had happened in Arkansas. They were asking him if he believed a stimulus package was necessary. His comments were paraphrased as follows. Well, when this whole COVID thing began, we in Arkansas tightened our belts and took a 5% reduction across the board versus our budget. And then our economy didn't go down as much as we anticipated. And we're actually running a surplus on our balanced and redefined budget versus what we projected. But that's just how we do things in Arkansas. Now, you think that guy's a Republican or a Democrat? We tightened our belt.
Is that a rhetorical question?
Yeah, I mean, that guy's a Republican, and I don't even know who he is. I mean, I'd love to be wrong. If it is, he's the last Clinton Democrat. He had balanced budget and fiscal responsibility.
I don't want to say this is scary because it's not, but Arkansas is quietly positioning itself as maybe the next great state. They're attracting businesses.
Their football team stinks.
Well, football team stinks. They're attracting Republicans that are fleeing places like Dallas because they're tired of being overrun by Democrats from California and other blue states who are fleeing their high taxes and crappy governments to only come to Dallas, San Antonio, other areas to implement the same crappy strategies and governments that they're fleeing, thinking that for whatever reason they'll get it right this time. Arkansas's not doing that stuff, and they're quietly positioning themselves fairly well.
Asa Hutchinson, and he's a Republican. How can that not? But if you're a Democrat, how does that not even make sense to you? Like, hey, you know, We tightened our budget. And then guess what? The economy didn't go down as much as we thought. So we're operating at a surplus over our current budget.
Well, they got Walmart. That's why their economy didn't go down.
That's probably part of it. Yeah.
So Joe Biden over the weekend, when asked the question, don't voters deserve to know what you're going to do with the Supreme Court?
No.
Started answering it and say voters don't deserve. And then he finally realized what he was going to say and stopped, but he was a little too late.
Well, he said he was going nowhere. And he wasn't. And he stated again yesterday that he's running for the U.S. Senate. He's been in the Senate so long, he can't get that out of his brain. It just flows off his tongue.
8 years, his last 8 years VP, 4 years doing nothing.
He was,
but he's still a senator.
He's a senator.
That should give you an idea of the way he thinks. He's a senator. He'll always be a senator.
I'll tell you what else it does. Folks, I mean, I don't care what you do for a living. We've all tried to find ways to minimize our taxes. I know this. Tax evasion is a crime. Tax avoidance is not. The fact that Donald Trump employed enough CPAs and people and finagled this and used, by his own words, Joe, you gave me this tax code. I found a way to minimize my, even though that was wrong. He had paid tens of millions of dollars in taxes, but at the end, he only owed $750. Good for Trump. The fact that that offended or surprised or that Joe Biden tried to spin that into a bad thing just shows you that Joe Biden's never had to make a payroll in his life.
Nope. Exactly.
He's never had a job, people. And he's in love with China. Did people forget that this is communist China? I'm not worried about some domino theory. I'm not worried about because the American people are willingly going to give their country up. It's not like the Chinese are going to come over here and take us. We're trying to give it to them.
True story.
Liberal idiots and people that have no concept of what's going on globally. They've got no idea.
They like to think they do.
No idea.
Well, we're the big bad polluters of the world. We're the big bad enemy of the world.
Wrong. Jimmy Carter made some comment about, well, the U.S. has been at war forever. China hadn't been at war with anybody. Really? How many missiles do you think they built? You don't think they were in an escalated war with us without you knowing it? It's craziness.
It really is. And we didn't even get to the Senate confirmation hearings, but we'll get to that a little bit more tomorrow. But the lunacy in that circus sideshow.
Amy Klobuchar and yesterday,
Cory Booker.
I had a nice tweet to Elizabeth Warren yesterday. You would like this. As if she actually reads my tweet. You know what I'm saying? But Elizabeth Warren came on there and said, it's a sham. And this president Trump did this, not the Senate, not a separate office of power. Trump holding this confirmation hearing on a holiday, right? So I asked her, you still recognize Columbus Day, after they took your people's land? I told her, I go, you're done, lady. Your 15 minutes is over. Go have a beer.
And that's not the most hypocritical thing that she could have said, right?
Right. Columbus Day is a holiday. Not for you, Elizabeth. They took the land of the Indians. Remember your chosen people? Go have a beer in the kitchen with your husband. That's what I told her.
But the Senate confirmation hearings, just Cory Booker was almost in tears a couple of times.
I heard he's gotten fat.
I don't know. I was listening to it.
Did he look like Gary Coleman? A little bit like Gary Coleman?
I don't know. I was listening. I wasn't watching. But you could hear his voice cracking. It never was about. They made accusations. She's going to take the ACA away. She's going to take your health care.
She's going to change Roe v. Wade.
Which, interestingly enough, and I was listening to a couple of commentators weigh in on this, Roe v. Wade isn't going anywhere.
Ever.
They tried to make, and I thought this was an interesting spin because they were trying to say that she's going to revisit past decisions. And that's the worst thing that could happen. And then the guy I was listening to, I didn't catch his name, tried to put it in perspective. Well, imagine if we didn't go back and revisit some of the laws that were passed and change them. Laws that discriminated against Black people. Supreme Court allowed these laws back in the 18 to 1900s. We revisited them.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, gee, that's pretty poignant. But they're trying to
say the lady seems to be pure class. No matter what her particular political bent is, she didn't spew a bunch of conservative rhetoric yesterday. I didn't hear anything out of her that wasn't just pro-American. But I was like, sometimes when you listen to like Brett Kavanaugh, or when I listen to somebody like Ted Cruz, they're just so smart you can't connect to them. And that's okay. We need people.
And they'll tell you that.
We need people that are that smart, and they will tell you that. Kavanaugh was like amused at some of the stuff that happened to him because he was like, you people are like, you're down here playing. I'm at a whole different level up here. And he wasn't arrogant about it. It was just observable. This lady seemed, when she spoke in her prepared statement, she was talking to the American people, not to a bunch of lawyers on the dais. And when I listened to her, it resonated with me that I worked hard. I believe in hard work. America's about hard work. We need a fair playing field. My role will be to uphold the Constitution as it's written. I thought, what else can you ask for? Now, if you don't like the Constitution as it's written, then amend it. But as it's written, I love her commitment to uphold the Constitution as it's written.
Well, the other big talking point, they're going to take away your health care.
It's
kind of already did that.
Already repealed it
with Obamacare because you lost your private insurance. So let's not forget that. They took away your health care when they passed the ACA, but they don't want to admit that fact. But the other interesting part is the severability. They took away, or they got rid of, the individual mandate. That's what they struck down. The rest of the ACA stands there and likely isn't going anywhere. Congress is going to have to go in and try to fix it.
Well, they had to pass it to know what was in it.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to make you guys aware of something too. I don't plug what I do on the show very often because Ash won't let me. But I do want to tell you this. We're entering into a little honeymoon phase here with health insurance. If you own a small business and you've been held up because you can only enroll at a certain time, or because that you've got these requirements where you've got to have 75% participation, they've got a little honeymoon window where as long as you have 2 employees, there's 2 things. The minimum participation is out the window, and the employer doesn't have to contribute anything. So if you've got a small business with 10 employees and 3 of them wish that they had group health care, you can call me and I can hook you up with the right people from our staff at GSM, and they can get those 3 people health care, even if those 3 people just pay for their own health care. You have to offer it to everybody, but you don't get penalized if only 10% take it. Just got to be at least 2 people. So think about that. Some of your small businesses are like, well, we'd love to offer health insurance, or me and Mama, the owners, we'd love to have health insurance as a group, but we can't because our other employees don't want it, and we can't afford to pay for all of them. Well, now you don't have to. So reach out to me. Solve your problems. There you go.
All right.
Shameless plug, by the way. Jag Athletics got a night with the Jaguars coming up. Just made that up. Always got to have equal time for Ash.
Yep. Thank you.
Love you.
Bye, folks.
Hey, folks, have a great day. We'll see you mañana.